On the night of June 14th, 2003, a wedding reception was still going. Guests were dancing. The champagne was flowing. The DJ was playing love songs. And somewhere upstairs, in the honeymoon suite of the Lakewood Grand Hotel, a woman was dying. Her name was Christine Miller. She was 27 years old. She had been married for exactly 6 hours. And the man investigators would come to suspect, he was still downstairs, smiling, toasting, shaking hands. His name was Paul Miller, and this is his story. To understand
911. What's your emergency?
My wife? Something's wrong with my wife. She's not breathing. I came upstairs and she's on the floor and she's not breathing. Please send someone, please.
The first responding officer arrived at 2:11 a.m. He found Christine Miller on the bathroom floor of the Honeymoon suite. She was in her wedding dress, partially. The dress had been moved, disheveled. She was unresponsive. Despite efforts at CPR, Christine Miller was pronounced dead at 2:47 a.m. She was 27 years old. She had been Mrs. Miller for less than 12 hours. The initial responding officers had questions. The room told a story that didn't quite make sense. Christine was found on the bathroom floor. There were no obvious signs of forced entry, no sign of a struggle in the main room, no broken furniture, no screaming reported by neighboring guests. But there was a bruise, a small but distinct bruise on Christine's neck, on her left side. The attending paramedics noted it. The first officer noted it. But in the chaos of the moment, the crying, the shock, the husband kneeling on the floor in his tuxedo, the bruise was filed away as a question to be answered later. The medical examiner's report would answer it. Dr. Patricia Hollis, the county medical examiner, conducted Christine Miller's autopsy on June 16, 2003. Her findings would fundamentally transform what had appeared to be a tragic accident into something far darker. Christine Miller had not died from natural causes. She had not suffered a heart attack, an aneurysm, or a seizure. She had not slipped and fallen. Christine Miller had died from asphyxiation, manual strangulation. The bruising on Christine's neck was consistent with thumb pressure applied to the left carotid artery. There were petechial hemorrhages in her eyes, tiny burst blood vessels that are a hallmark indicator of asphyxiation. Her hyoid bone, a small bone in the throat, was fractured. Dr. Hollis estimated time of death between 10:30 p.m. and 12:30 a.m. on the night of June 14th. Cross-referenced against the hotel security footage, that window covered the entire period between Paul and Christine entering the elevator together and Paul returning to the reception alone, every single minute. Detectives from the Hargrove County Sheriff's Department opened a homicide investigation. The lead investigator assigned to the case was Detective Raymond Souza, a 17-year veteran who would later say this case kept him up at night for years. In his notes from the first week of the investigation, Souza wrote a single question at the top of every page. Why did he go back downstairs? It's a question worth sitting with for a moment. If Christine had died accidentally, if Paul had found her collapsed, if something had gone terribly wrong, why did he go back to the party? Why dance? Why laugh? Why wait until 2 a.m. to call 911? Paul's answer to investigators was that Christine had told him to go back, that she wanted to rest, wanted to change, wanted him to enjoy the party, that he'd gone back up around 1 a.m. to check on her and found her unresponsive in the bathroom. But the security footage showed him returning to the suite at 1:14 a.m., the moment the reception ended. He hadn't gone to check on her. He'd gone back when there was nowhere else to go. As Detective Souza and his team dug deeper into Paul Miller's life, the charming golden boy of Hargrove began to look very different. The first crack came from Tiffany Moore, Christine's maid of honor. Remember what she said at the wedding, "Whatever I thought before, he really loves her." In her formal interview with investigators, Tiffany revealed what that phrase concealed. Over the 5 years of Christine and Paul's engagement, Tiffany had witnessed Paul's behavior deteriorate in ways that frightened her. He was controlling. He monitored Christine's phone. He had, on at least 3 occasions that Tiffany knew of personally, become physically rough with Christine during arguments, grabbing her arm, shoving her against a wall. Christine had minimized each incident, blamed stress, blamed herself. Tiffany had urged Christine to call off the engagement twice. Christine had refused. The second crack came from Paul's financial records. investigators discovered that Paul Miller had taken out a $500,000 life insurance policy on Christine Bowen, then Christine Miller, 14 months before the wedding. He was the sole beneficiary. Christine's family had known nothing about this policy. When investigators asked Paul about it, his explanation was simple. They were getting married, they were building a life together. It was responsible planning. On its own, a life insurance policy proves nothing. Couples take them out all the time, but combined with everything else, the timeline, the medical examiner's findings, the history of violence Tiffany described, it formed a portrait that prosecutors would eventually argue was a calculated, premeditated plan. The third crack, and in many ways the most chilling, came from a woman named Reyna Castillo. Reyna had dated Paul Miller for 8 months in 1999 and 2000 pounds, while he was engaged to Christine. She came forward after Christine's death, after reading about the case in the local paper. She told investigators that Paul had ended their affair abruptly, that in their final conversation, he had told her he was going to marry Christine. And these are the words Reyna Castillo reported, the words she said she never forgot, because she's worth more to me on paper than you are. She hadn't known what he meant at the time. She thought it was cruel breakup talk, a way of hurting her. Now, 14 months after a $500,000 life insurance policy had been taken out on Christine, the words took on a different meaning entirely. Paul Miller was arrested on August 19, 2003, 66 days after his wife's murder. He was charged with first-degree murder. His attorney, Franklin Greaves, a sharp, experienced defense lawyer from Columbus, immediately began constructing a counter-narrative. The trial of Paul David Miller opened on March 8, 2004, in Hargrove County Common Pleas Court. It would last 19 days. The prosecution, led by District Attorney Karen Weisberg, built their case on 4 pillars. First, opportunity. Paul was alone with Christine during the window of the medical examiner's estimated time of death. No other person had accessed the honeymoon suite. Key cards logs confirmed this. Security footage confirmed this. Second, means. Christine died from manual strangulation. Paul Miller was physically capable. There was no evidence of any third party. Third, motive. A $500,000 life insurance policy. A history of financial instability that investigators had uncovered. Paul's business ventures had failed twice in the preceding 4 years, leaving him with significant debt that Christine's family had known nothing about. Fourth, behavior. He went back to the party. He danced. He waited. DA Weisberg, in her closing argument, told the jury, an innocent man who found his wife collapsed on their wedding night does not go back downstairs and do the electric slide. The defense had a different story. Franklin Greaves argued that the prosecution's case was entirely circumstantial. There was no DNA evidence connecting Paul to the strangulation. No skin under Christine's fingernails. No witnesses. No confession. Greaves hired his own forensic pathologist, Dr. Alan Birch, who testified that Christine's injuries were consistent with a fall. That the hyoid bone fracture could have been caused by blunt impact. That petechial hemorrhaging, while commonly associated with strangulation, could also appear from other trauma. Greaves also attacked the life insurance policy argument, presenting evidence that Christine herself had participated in selecting the policy. Her own signature appeared on preliminary documents, and on Paul's behavior at the reception, going back downstairs, the dancing, the drinking, Greaves argued this was the behavior of a man who had no idea anything was wrong, a man whose wife had told him to go enjoy the party, a man in shock when he found her, who called 911 immediately. The jury deliberated for 4 days. On April 1, 2004, they returned a verdict. Guilty. First-degree murder. Paul Miller showed no visible reaction. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He was 30 years old. Paul Miller has filed 3 appeals since his conviction in 2007, 2011, and 2018. All 3 have been denied. He continues to this day to maintain his innocence. His parents, Gerald and Diane Miller, have stood by him. They have given interviews, they have paid for attorneys, they have never stopped believing their son. Christine's mother, Sandra Bowen, established the Christine Miller Foundation in 2005, an organization that advocates for victims of domestic violence and funds shelters across Ohio. She has spoken publicly about her daughter's case dozens of times. In a 2019 interview, Sandra said something that has stayed with many who followed this case. Christine was not naive, she was not stupid, she was in love. And sometimes love is the most dangerous thing a person can carry. The case of Paul Miller sits in a category that haunts the true crime community, cases that are legally closed, but psychologically never quite resolved. Not because the evidence is absent, not because the verdict was unjust, but because of who Paul Miller was, because of the image he maintained, because of the guests who danced alongside him while Christine lay upstairs, because of how long it is possible to live beside a secret. Christine Elaine Miller is buried in Hargrove, Ohio. Her grave marker reads, "Beloved daughter, cherished friend, forever loved." She wanted to be a teacher. She wanted children. She wanted mornings with coffee and a dog, and someone who loved her the way she deserved to be loved. She deserved so much more than what she got. If this story stays with you, Carl, and I think it will, please hit the subscribe button, like, and share it. Because the best thing we can do for victims like Christine is refuse to let them be forgotten. I'm Lydia Lucky, and this has been Wedding Night Murder, the case of Paul Miller.